Hi, you guys. Thanks a million for tuning in to this Anfield Agenda live stream. Myself and Connor are going to be on. We're going to have a little chat about the new away kit. We're going to have a chat about Buvac and what his future might entail. We're going to have a little bit of chat about transfers, goalkeepers, all the topics that you guys want to chat about. Connor, how are you doing, buddy? Nice to catch up with you again.
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
I'm great, buddy. Just did a live stream earlier on with On the Bench LFC with Daz and Dave. Had great crack over there. Really good channel. I'm sure most of you guys already subscribe, but if you don't, go over there, check them out. On the Bench LFC. Connor, I know you subscribe.
Yeah, brilliant channel. Dad's a really nice guy. Dave seems to be nice as well. Knows this, 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 knows this. Yeah, here you now.
Sorry, my end was going a bit crazy. Hi guys, hi Dave, hi Lewis, how are you guys? Dave, our own Dave is there, live from Brussels. Dave, I hope you landed safely, mate. Well, you obviously did, you're there. Great to hear from you. Lewis, same with you. The first thing, Connor, I thought we'd have a little chat about today, we'll be waiting on some people to join us, is Liverpool's new away kit. It's certainly been one that's divided opinion. I've seen it compared to a tin of roses sweet, you know, the whole nut sweet and that. I've seen it compared to Ribena. I've seen it compared to a wheelie bin. What's your take on it, buddy?
Um, it's a strange one, isn't it? I've never seen a kit that colour before, especially with the orange as well. Um, yeah, like I said, the wheelie bin is definitely one we're going to get bantered about. Quality Street tin of biscuits or sweets, I was thinking more like than roses. Um, I do think I like it though. What
Yeah,
do you
it's,
think?
it's it's a bit Marmite, isn't it? You know me, I do like a bright colour. You've seen some of the tops I wear. I do like a mad kit as well, but I just haven't warmed to this one yet. And it might be one, mate, that I need to see in person. I need to have a look at in the club shop or in the sports shop and just see what it's like in person. You know what? It looks good in the professional athletes. I'll say that.
Well, everything looks good on them, doesn't it?
It really does. And do you know what? Trent was giving it the big one, wasn't he? He really was. He was the man
Really
for
was.
those images. Yeah, he was giving it the full powdered lips and the superstar look. I mean, you know what I mean? He is a
Yeah,
future superstar.
they all
And
look like a shaky boy band. Yeah.
yeah, we've seen that a few times. You've seen them when they were in Marbella as well before the Champions League final. We've seen the lads strolling around, Gini Wijnaldum, his brother, and Virgil van Dijk looking like they're about to drop a mixtape.
Love those pictures. Always funny.
Davis said that the away kit is growing on him. Will you buy it though, Dave? That's an interesting thing. Do you think you're going to go out and shell your hard-earned cash out and walk around with a purple and orange top on? Because you know, think it would take a brave man. I can see kids getting away with it, Connor, but a grown adult wearing it, I don't know. I don't know, mate. It just wouldn't be me, and I like to think I'm brave and bold when it comes to colourful tops.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dave might win it in the sweepstakes, but he got England, so that's probably not too likely.
Yeah, we did an Anfield Agenda sweepstakes earlier on for the World Cup, guys. So what we did is we divided it. There was 7 of us went into the sweepstakes, and then we had a listeners group as well. Each person involved in the sweepstakes gets 4 teams, and we divided them up. We seeded them really into 4 different groups, and the way we did it, we worked off the bookies odds for the group. So there was 8 teams in the top group, then the lower tier, lower tier, lower tier, and so on. And poor old Dave Henry there in the chat, he got England as the top seeded team in his group. So I felt guilty. I mean, I videoed the draw, Connor. I put it out. I sent it to all you guys to show you that it was legit. But still, you got to feel for Dave.
Yeah, but how many times did you film it before you sent it?
That's a secret, Connor, that shall stay with me forever. I mean, the fact that I got Spain, a managerless Spain. Well, I suppose Hierro's in there. Well, I suppose we might take a moment to have a chat about that while we're waiting people to come on. What do you think of the whole thing about Lepertegui, or however you pronounce his name, announcing he's the new Real Madrid manager, and the Spanish FA not having a Scooby-Doo about it until 5 minutes before the press conference?
Really bizarre, yeah. I hadn't even heard of this manager before today, I'll admit. Um, it's such a strange situation that, like, you think the Spanish FA would have had to have had some sort of contact with Real Madrid while all of this was going on. Like, how it was kept completely secret, I don't know.
It seems hugely disrespectful to the Spanish FA on the eve of a World Cup that, whatever you think about Real Madrid, that their own manager didn't keep them informed about what was going on. So I fully support their decision to sack him.
Yeah, leaves them in a very awkward position, though.
It does. I think they
Have
brought
to
in
avoid
Fernando
Hierro,
Hierro to come in there. But I spoke on Daz's stream earlier on, Connor. That Spanish team is full of captains, really, I suppose is the word I'm looking for. It's full of leaders. If ever there was a team that could probably go on the pitch and not need a manager, it would almost be that Spanish team.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping they'd do something crazy and make like Iniesta play a player manager or something like that. Be very interesting to see. But yeah, like you said, they're all leaders on that pitch, all them Spanish players. So however much managing they need, I don't know. But hopefully it doesn't derail their competition completely.
That is true. I see a couple of people in the chat here are asking, do we have any links to talk about tonight? We most certainly do. There's a couple of interesting things to talk about. From the goalkeeper position, we'll have a little chat about Strakosha, I believe his name is, from Lazio, the Lazio keeper who has been linked today. We'll also have a little chat about Buvac and his proposed taking over of the Fenerbahce managerial job, Connor, which is very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting links there.
There's also Hakim Ziyech, a player that Liverpool fans would like to see the club turn to perhaps ahead, or if the Nabil Fekir deal doesn't come off, should we say, or if that deal really is dead. And then there's a couple of other young links to young players that we can have a chat about. So really, and of course, the big topic of the day as well is probably the Forbes list that came out, the Forbes money list. So really interesting to see what you guys think of that. And Connor, Liverpool are apparently the eighth, not richest, but the eighth most valuable sports franchise in football.
I've seen that. Yeah, what does it actually go off of? Is it just like their current stance as assets and potential? Is there? Or do you have the
I think it
breakdown?
goes off. Yeah, see, when I spoke about this on the bench stream earlier on, it's really tough because you look at Chelsea and you've got Chelsea ahead of us, and I think Arsenal might be ahead of us as well. But when you're taking into account their value and their brand, you have to take into account the land that they own in London and how
Yeah, that's a very
valuable
good
that
point.
is as an asset, because there's a huge difference between London property prices and Liverpool and Manchester property prices. So it makes it even more impressive for Liverpool to be eighth in that, and for Manchester United to be at the top of the list. Now, we will get into this in more detail as more people join the stream and the questions come in, but I think what we've seen, Connor, is Liverpool have increased their value by 30% in the last 12 months, and that's the biggest increase of anybody else on that list.
That is a massive jump up, isn't it? And you have to say fair dues to FSG for a lot of people like criticise them, but they have done an amazing job with the club, and you can just see that with the value rising. And Klopp too for coming in. He's obviously brought in a lot of players that made us better, brought up the value that way, playing exciting football, probably bringing in more fans around the world. Just a great job all around. Like I said, it's a massive jump up.
I'm just reading a comment here from Dave that says, regarding the Forbes list, Google Brand Finance Top 50 of Football 2018. All the information is in there. Thank you, Dave, for that. Who else have we got on? Ewan Gibb. Hi, Ewan. He wants to talk about transfer links, and we will get to that, mate. Let me know, Ewan, if there's anybody in particular or any position you'd like us to talk about first. What else have we got here? Leighton Long says, just watch the Off the Bench. Great listening and insight. Thank you, mate. Really, really glad you enjoyed that. It was a pleasure chatting with Daz and Dave. And Ahmed says, cheers from Sri Lanka. Hello, Ahmed. Lovely to see you again, mate. Thank you for coming on, giving us your time once again. I think, Connor, until maybe the guys come on and we get a few more questions, we'll have a little chat about the Buvac situation. It is interesting that Damian Kamoli has gone and taken over. I don't know if it's director of football or sporting director role at Fenerbahce, but as soon as he went in there, the links to Buvac started, and David Moyes was the other leading candidate, I believe, for that job. So it looks as if Buvac is going to take over.
Yeah, it's very strange. Why was David Moyes even being considered for that job?
Because he's a footballing legend and a footballing genius. I mean, come on, get aboard the David Moyes train.
Between him and Buvac, like Buvac is an actual football genius, and David Moyes
and
is
doesn't look like Gollum.
No, exactly. It seems so random to me that Moyes was even linked with that. But yeah, I think Buvac, it's a strange one because obviously we all would have liked him to come back, but like from a footballing point of view, I would actually like to see what he can do as a manager. So I'm interested to see how he gets on.
Yeah, it's a very good point as well. And we've seen him linked to the Arsenal job previously. And look, I think we were all fairly confident that once he left, and at the point he left Liverpool last season, it was either a health scare, which of course nobody wanted and everybody wished it wasn't, but it seemed more obvious that he probably wouldn't be coming back. So this is all starting to add up and make sense now. And with the addition of Pep Linders to the backroom staff, Klopp's looked like he sorted that position.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Great, yeah, like I said, great to see Pep Linders back. He was a big part of the dressing room before he left, and Klopp's team behind the scenes. Is he coming in back as an assistant manager, or what's his role now?
I
been actually
honestly
confirmed.
don't know if it's been announced which role he will take up. It's just said that he'll take up a prominent role in Klopp's first team coaching setup. Just want to have a quick read through the comments here and say hello to some people. Killer for Hire says, "What's up, boys? Lovely to see you again, mate." Robert Hanna says, "Hi, lads. Hiya, Robert. Again, thank you for coming on and giving us your time." Jamal Abraham says, "I really think Liverpool should buy a top quality centre half just in case Virgil van Dijk gets injured or to partner him." What else do you say here? We'd be in the same position if an injury was to happen, Connor, and we need a top class keeper. If we look at the centre back issue first, Connor, and answer Jamal's question, what do you think around that issue? Do you think Liverpool needs to go and bring in top quality or maybe another third choice centre back?
My thoughts on this was I'm happy enough to have Van Dijk and Lovren as our two centre backs, but I think we need someone to challenge them. I don't think Matip is good enough, and his injury record is very dodgy as well. So if we get someone to challenge Lovren's position more than be a Van Dijk standard player, maybe like a 30-40 million pound player, like not someone's going to absolutely break the bank, but someone who can actually challenge.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much along the same lines as you. I think most of us, I think all Liverpool fans want us to sort out that goalkeeper position. I don't think there's anyone going to argue there. But if we're talking about the centre back situation, for me, Matip, and I've been fairly open about this, Matip is the one that I think is in the most danger of being pushed out. And I really want us to go. I know it's probably not as exotic as other names, but I really like to look at Jamal Lascelles from Newcastle.
Yeah, he does seem solid, doesn't he? Premier League proven as well. I'm sure a lot of the English players at the club already know him, so he'll probably fit in fairly quickly. If we get him for the right price, then by all means, I'd be very happy with
that. Ahmed says Matip is quite good. I would slightly disagree, mate, and of course I respect your opinion. I just feel that with Matip, Connor, we can't seem to get a run of games out of him because of soft tissue injuries or little minor knocks and niggles.
Yeah, he doesn't seem very comfortable at times as well. I always thought of him more as a kind of a defensive midfield kind of player. Like he tends to drift out a lot, and he's good with the ball. Like he's good at distribution, but like at actual defending, he's not brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to come on here and slay any Liverpool player because, as with all you guys out there, we support them 100% when they're on the field. A couple of more people joining into the chat. James Doherty. Hello, James. Thank you for joining. And Ben, lovely to see you again, mate. If we're looking at the goalkeeper situation, guys, it's tough to come on, Connor, and say that, and of course I don't want to speak for you here, mate, but to come on and say that, yeah, we all know we want Alisson and we all know we want Oblak, but the truth of the matter is, and people don't like hearing this, and it hurts me saying this, but it's not looking likely.
No, it's really not. If you're to believe the rumours, and we're being priced out of both Alisson and Oblak, whether Roma, definitely Oblak anyway, because they're not going to sell for less than that, was it £90 million release clause. Alisson, we have a slim chance if Roma do drop their asking price, but I think I've seen somewhere they need to make a lot of money since all the players they're bringing in, so they're probably not going to drop it too much. Apart from that, we were talking about that Lazio keeper, what's his name, Starovski or Starovska.
Yeah, it's a tough one to pronounce, isn't it? I mean, I don't know what it is about players we've been linked with in this window, but we're not getting any easy names. I mean, it's getting tough here to come on and try and pronounce goalkeepers' names and central defenders' names. Even a simple thing like Jamal Lascelles, I don't know idea if I'm pronouncing that second name correctly or incorrectly. Probably incorrectly because, I mean, I'm pretty shit with pronunciations. Let's just stick with the Lazio keeper who had a pretty damn good season with Lazio this year. Strakosha. I'm going to go with Strakosha. And he's 23 years of age. Thomas, we'll call him Tom. Boom. Love it. There you go, Tom.
Have you seen much of him? I haven't seen him at all.
I've seen a little bit. I've watched Lazio a bit this season, but mainly because obviously of Lucas Leiva, and I like to see how ex-Liverpool players get on when they leave the club. And obviously we've Lucas Leiva there, and who was voted Lazio's player of the season thanks to Liverpool fans hijacking the vote, which is absolutely brilliant. We also have Luis Alberto there as well, who used to be a Liverpool player. So I've watched a bit of them, and they had a very good season. A very good run in the Europa League as well, but I'm not going to lie, I didn't particularly look at the keeper too much, but he didn't do anything that made me think he was poor. So if anything, that's probably a good thing. But you've mentioned that people who have watched them and people you've read on Twitter have glowing things to say about him.
Yeah, there's a guy on Twitter, Maxi Angelo. He seems to be fairly well up on his Italian football. He's also a Liverpool fan, and he seems to be excited about the link. he said he's been a top 5 keeper in the league this season. That doesn't sound too impressive, but there are a few decent keepers in that league, like Buffon and Alisson. So
Ben asks actually
obviously doing
who's the
something right.
goalkeeper in the thumbnail, and Ben, the goalkeeper in the thumbnail is Tom. We're gonna keep calling him Tom at this point, the Lazio goalkeeper, mate. So yeah, that's the person in the thumbnail. That just shows you, Connor, I suppose, how unwell known he'd be to many of us if Ben there, who I've had a chat with Ben before, and Ben knows a lot about football and a lot about players, but this has come out of nowhere, really, hasn't it? This link.
Yeah, I think I seen somewhere who's there? Marchetti is Lazio's keeper usually, I think, and he got injured, and then this Tom fella came in and started playing well, and they kept on using him in goal, and he's been brilliant this season apparently. So
there seems to be a couple of people here throwing up centre back names, so maybe we'll skirt around to that one again.
yeah,
Ahmed says Tarkowski links are good, and then Dave says Matthias de Ligt from Ajax apparently handed in a transfer request. I'd be in on him in a flash. What is it about this window with people wanting to get out of clubs and handing in transfer requests and wanting contracts cancelled? It's going a little bit crazy, Connor.
yeah, everyone seems to want to move. Suppose Liverpool are so good now, everyone wants to join them.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Yeah, handing in transfer requests. I want to play for Klopp. Get me over to Klopp immediately. I want the Klopp hug. You couldn't blame them, could you? But you know, the links the guys saying Tarkowski is certainly, as Ahmed said, Tarkowski is certainly a player we've had a chat about on podcasts, and many Liverpool fans have seen play this season. What do you think of him?
I think he's a very good player. I was very surprised that he wasn't included in the England squad going to Russia. I thought that was very harsh on him. You see how well Burnley have done this season, and it's because of their defence that they've done so well, and he's been a big part of that. So I think he's, like I said, with Lascelles, he's just a Premier League proven defender. If you get him for the right money, then I'm all for
it. Tom Connolly has also just joined the chat. Good evening, Tom. Lovely to see you, mate. Ahmed is shocked there when he seen Dave's comment that the league has handed in a transfer request. Now, I would be interested to know, maybe you guys, Dave, you could perhaps tell us, did he hand in this transfer request for any particular reason? Is he looking to push through a move? James Shields says Joe Gomez the push for a starting place at centre back next season, and you know, a lot of us do think very highly of Joe Gomez. Connor, he's been unlucky with injuries.
Yeah, my mate Joe Gomez,
Best mate of yours.
yeah, he's in between injuries and having to play a right back. Like, he hasn't really been given a chance at centre back for an extended run. Maybe the odd game here and there, but it'll be interesting to see in the next couple of years. If we do bring in someone like Tarkowski or Lascelles, I could see him being loaned out this season.
Jamal Abraham says everyone sees the difference that Virgil van Dijk has made since joining for £70 million. He thinks Alisson or Oblak is a no-brainer, and we agree, mate. I mean, you're not going to get any argument from us, Jamal. We're on the bus with you, buddy. We fully love to see either of those come in, but like, keep harping back to this, Connor, and Liverpool don't seem to like the fact that they're being quoted twice the current world record for a goalkeeper.
It is crazy. I just tweeted earlier asking, like, what has Alisson actually done to justify that kind of a fee? Like, he's had one season in that Roma team, and they're demanding that much money.
Yeah, I suppose. And look, they're free to demand what they want. I mean, a player is only worth what somebody's willing to pay at the end of the day. And Real Madrid are sniffing around Alisson by the looks of it. And look, of the two keepers, if you were looking to justify the money, then you can obviously justify Jan Oblak's fee. If there is to be a goalkeeper that breaks a world record fee, I think Jan Oblak should be up there with a shout anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Like, he's had consistent seasons at the very top compared to Alisson, who's had one good season in the Champions League and the Italian League. So yeah, definitely Oblak. You could probably justify spending that much money.
Ahmed agrees with Jamal in regards to spending a lot of money on a goalkeeper, and I think, guys, this is the feeling of a lot of Reds out there. If we were to go and splash the cash this season, and I said this earlier on, I'd be quite happy for us not to invest in that attacking midfield position and just bang all the money, Connor, on a goalkeeper, and maybe bring in a young wide player or somebody with potential there at the front, because whilst we do need cover for the front three, we can all see that the goalkeeper is the glaring error, the glaring hole in this Liverpool team.
Yeah, like, I'd happily see us spend 80-90 million on Oblak if we could bring in someone like that Moses Simon fella and Shaqiri maybe as well. Like, just two cover players for the front and then a top quality keeper. Like you said, the attacking midfield role, we have Wijnaldum, Oxlade-Chamberlain once he comes back from injury. Keita can play a bit further forward. He could fill in there. Like, it's not an actual need, it's more of a luxury, I think Fekir would have been.
Yeah, and we'll have a chat a bit further, a bit more detail about Fekir a little bit later on, guys. I just want to keep going through the comments because, as I say, you guys take the time to write them, and we hope to try and get through as many as we can. Connor says, "Evening lads, can anyone give me an update on transfers? We should go in for Martial." And Connor, you mentioned this to me just as we were starting to go live, buddy, about Anthony Martial looking to get out of Manchester United.
Yeah, apparently his agent just says he wants to leave, and we were just chatting about before we came on. We both agreed that we would love to see him at Liverpool, but it's very unlikely that United would sell him to us. So I don't think we should put too much thought into it.
It is a shame. I mean, I really like Anthony Martial as a footballer. I think
really
many
do,
Liverpool fans as well will agree. He's quality and he's just not being utilised well under Jose Mourinho. But
Yeah,
again, it would have to be a move and then a future move for us to ever get a hold of him because we're not going to get him directly from Manchester United.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Connor. Sorry, go on.
I've seen a few people guessing that maybe he might go back to Monaco now that they have the money from all those sales.
It's certainly interesting. It's certainly interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him because he deserves to play. Dell says, "Evening, Craig. For the sake of every Liverpool supporter, you must continue these streams on a daily basis." On the centre back, Keane of Burnley is an up and coming good Irish defender. Firstly, thank you, Dale. Thank you for the kind words, and we'll be on here as often as we can be. We probably will try and set up a bit more of a schedule as the summer goes on to let you guys know in advance what's going to happen. Keane of Burnley, Connor. I haven't seen much of him, if I'm being honest.
Keane, Michael Keane.
I think that's who he's talking about. I think so.
He's at Everton now, though.
No, not that Keane. I think is there another young Keane coming through? Maybe he's speaking about.
Oh, sorry,
Forgive us here if we're misunderstanding this. So you could let us know, and we will come back to it. Just reading through. Risk there. That's a good point, Harvey. Connor rightly pointed out. One season Serie A with Roma to replace Wojciech Szczesny, who went on to Juventus.
Yeah, it is mad money, isn't it?
It is, and I suppose a lot of Reds are going to just look at the two games he played against Liverpool, and we banged 7 past them. I mean, I think we would have banged 7 past almost anybody over those 2 games, but I mean, they're asking, like, let's look at that Salah goal, the second Salah goal, with that beautiful dink over the goalkeeper where he went. If that had been Karius going down that early, Connor, there'd been questions.
It really would, yeah. But like you said, when you probably would have put 7 past any keeper. But have you ever seen De Gea concede that many? Like Oblak,
very good point.
Manuel Neuer again.
I'm sure somebody will pull us up and make us look like fools that maybe De Gea has let them in once or twice. But all in all, De Gea usually doesn't let that many goals in. The junior says, "What's good, Craig? Won't be commenting as I'm revising, but listening away." Thank you, the junior. I think you were on Daz's as well earlier on. If you were, thank you for taking the time to tune in and watching us. And I hope your revision goes well. And I'm sure Connor wishes you the same. Tom says, "Craig, if you were in Klopp's shoes and you had to present a business plan to FSG to persuade them to release the funds for Oblak, how would you pitch it?" The funny thing is, Tom, and I don't know how Connor feels, I'll get his opinion now, is I think that he doesn't have to pitch anything. I think the money's there. If Jurgen Klopp said to FSG, "I want 80 million for Oblak," I think they'd back him, Connor.
I think they would, yeah. Klopp's kind of he's the kind of person who, like, if he's quoted a price and he doesn't believe he's worth it, then he'll just move on or try to get cheaper. He won't spend over the odds. He thinks he can invest it better, like.
I think, Tom, perhaps what we've seen with Jurgen Klopp recently in FSG is that they were burned with other managers. They didn't seem to trust Brendan Rodgers. That's where the whole transfer committee and that committee still exists to a certain extent. But there's a trust, and we keep referring to this cheesy kind of holy trinity, Connor, between the fans, the manager, and the owners and the players. And I think that synergy is there at the minute. And I think FSG know they're onto a good thing with Jurgen Klopp. And if it's possible financially, they'll back him to the hilt.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I just want to keep everyone happy and get the club progressing in the right direction. I think they've copped on to the fact that if we actually win trophies, then we'll be bringing in money. maybe that's it.
Yeah, it seems that way, and I think they've been quite supportful of Klopp since he's come in. I just want to go through a couple more comments again. The junior says, "Oh look, he couldn't help himself. He's supposed to be revising, but you can't help yourself, junior. And fair play to you." He says, "Strakosha is better than Butler and the Pope easily." And from what we've read, mate, and from what Connor is saying to me, I think that seems to be an opinion that people who have watched them would agree with. What
Yeah,
else we
definitely.
got? Robert Hanna says, "Surely clearing out the deadwood in the club could go a long way to financing any Oblak or Allison deal." Again, I'm going to come back to the same thing. Sometimes we have to maybe, and again, this is just my opinion, Robert. So if it doesn't agree with yours, mate, feel free to let me know your side, and we can talk this through. But I just think, as Connor touched on a minute ago, Klopp can be Klopp can be pretty stubborn, Connor, and if he doesn't think that the value of a player is right, he'll move on.
Yeah, exactly. He'll find someone else. He's not going to spend over the odds on Oblak. I just don't think he will.
Dave says, after Justin Kluivert got his Roma move, there was two players from Ajax that handed in a transfer request. De Jong was the other one. I hope, Dave, that you were going to say Ziyech there, because he was a player we wanted to have a chat about tonight, and somebody who many Reds have looked at as a possible alternative to Fekir, Connor.
Yeah, he seems to be a decent player from what I've seen of him, which isn't an awful lot, I would say, but seems to be in that kind of mould of a player, kind of yeah, short enough player, kind of quick with his feet, left-footed like Fekir as well. I'd love to see how he got on in the Premier League.
I think I've
So he's
watched a
worth
little bit
one.
of Ajax as well, and he's excited me. He seems to be that go-to player. And look, Justin Kluivert was an amazing talent as well. He's after going, and pretty much, I don't know if he's joined Roma yet, but he's certainly in Rome, and he's going through the formalities. He'd be an exciting player, and it would probably be quite reasonable. I do want to push on because there's so many questions coming through, and Kira has just come up and said if we could sign one player in this transfer window, who would it be and why? So Connor, I'll let you go on that one first.
Um, it's a tough one because I would say Oblak, but like I've said a few times, I don't think Klopp's going to spend that money. Um, Other than that, I would say Fekir, but that's not probably not going to happen now either. Um, One player, Manuel Neuer. There we go.
Paul Turner says
That's
that
what
we
happened.
should pay the money for a keeper. I'd say Allison for me, and I think it's funny because I think Oblak is probably an all round better goalkeeper, but I just think Allison will probably suit our system, and I also agree that paying 80 million quid for I won't call him a one season wonder because that's been disrespectful, but for somebody who's only been around for one season at the top level it would be tough to swallow. But you know what, if it worked out, you'd be looking back on this, Connor, in 3 or 4 years, and you wouldn't be talking about the fee.
That's the thing. Like All Black's still fairly young. If we did end up spending 90 million on him, and he's our keeper for 9 or 10 years, then that's only what, a few million a year
Yeah,
for possibly
absolutely.
a few league wins, a few Champions League wins. You never know. Like
James Doherty says Fekir and the big Newcastle centre back Jamal Lascelles will be perfect. You know what? Now seems as good a time as any. Actually, James is after bringing it up. We'll have a little chat about Nabil Fekir. Firstly, before myself and Connor go on and start chatting, just so maybe kill some time that you guys get something in the chat. Let us know what you think about the Fekir deal. If you're watching this back later on, you're watching the replay of this, thank you very much for watching. And to all the guys in the chat as well, thank you for coming on. But don't forget, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us grow the channel, helps us keep you guys notified of anything that we're doing, and it helps us reach out to other Reds. So if you have a moment, please do hit that subscribe button. It really helps us. Connor, Fekir, I don't think this is an issue with money for me, mate. I think whatever happens here purely lies with the medical.
it seems that way, yeah. Which is why I think we probably won't go back in. When the news originally came out, I didn't believe it was the medical. I thought it was just that prick Aulas looking for more money or something that happened. There was rumours that we tried to read, but that apparently wasn't true. So it looks like we did just walk away. There was some underlying issue. Unless we can renegotiate some deal that's way cheaper or has some sort of clause that if he doesn't play 20 games every 6 years, that we pay less or something, something ridiculous like that. I can't see signing them.
Yeah, well, and again, I keep harping back to Daz's on the Bench LFC stream earlier on, but we spoke about this in detail, and my feeling on this is that it's okay for us as fans to say Liverpool can just renegotiate the deal with Leon for Nabil Fekir, but you're looking at renegotiating a deal for the player here as well. And Connor touched on there about clauses and things like that. We'd probably have to go back to him now this is a huge if they can find a way around the knee issue. they probably have to go back and say to him, look, we don't know how your knee is going to hold up. We're going to have to get, like Connor said, incentivized deal here. You play this amount of games, you hit this bonus, this amount of games, this bonus, and then the usual goal scoring bonuses. So it's a really tough deal, but if it was gun to my head, and I've no inside knowledge on this whatsoever, this is just like all you guys, I'm trying to put two and two together, I don't think this deal gets done, and it absolutely kills me to say that, Connor, because I want Nabil Fekir, apart from a goalkeeper, more than anybody else this window.
Yeah, after being linked to him for so long, and after looking at so many clips of him and watching him, it just seems a great player, and it is a real shame that we're not getting him, or if we don't get him, because like he scores some absolutely fantastic goals, and is just a great player all around.
The Junior says revising, but LFC transfer news is addicting. Addictive. I get you, Junior. I'm on here every day. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. I'm on everything I can get my hands on. Reading stories, reading links. There's something about it, isn't Connor? There's something about transfers that brings out the child in many of us Liverpool fans.
Yeah, every window I'm like, no, I'm not looking at Twitter every 10 seconds to see the new news, and every time there's something tweeted, I'm just sucked back in. It's just impossible to get away from.
Owen says we need a big transfer soon. We're growing impatient as Liverpool fans. Other clubs like Arsenal are getting their players in quickly. I disagree a little bit there, Owen, mate. Obviously we know we have Naby Keita coming in, and we're after bringing in Fabinho. That's two players coming in, and if you look at who Arsenal are bringing in, mate, and again this is just my opinion, I wouldn't really fancy some of them players, Connor. I know Lichtsteiner, for example, I wouldn't be getting too excited about. They've been linked today as well with it being close to a deal, Connor, for Leno, so maybe that's what Owen's talking about.
Yeah, I seen that. I think was it ESPN or someone. It was some fairly reliable news source. Anyway, said it was pretty much a done deal and will be announced soon. He's linked to us as well, like you said, but he seems to be a very error-ridden player.
I keep coming back to Germany, but they've produced so many goalkeepers. You've Leno, you've got Trapp, you've Karius, you've got Timo Horn, you've got Manuel Neuer. They just seem to have a never-ending supply of goalkeepers there. Ter Stegen, yeah, you're right. There's just so many of them, and I'm trying to just get through these comments as well as quick as I can because I hate missing out on people. The Junior says, would anyone take Götze? Would you take Mario Götze, Connor?
No chance. Just don't like him. And I don't think he's as good as he used to be.
I'd back you up.
4 or 5 years ago, maybe, but not now.
I'm the same as Connor here. I think he had his chance. I don't like players that turn us down as well. I'm a little bit bitter and a little bit childish in that sense. So I think he's had his chance as well. And look, I know he had his medical issues, and at times I jokingly call him the chubby little chubster, but you know, I just don't think at this moment in time he'd be right for us. But there's no denying a fit Mario Götze, you know, up on fire. He's a good player, Connor. I mean, we're not going to sit here and say he's a shit footballer.
Yeah, he's good, but like he's not going to break into that front three or like he's probably not much better than the likes of Wijnaldum, is he, at this stage?
Possibly not. Paul says, I think it's a big gamble with somebody who has a dodgy knee like Fekir. If it backfires, we'll end up with egg on our faces and we'll be a laughing stock. I think LFC are right to have doubts. Paul, I agree with your sentiments, mate, and I also think, Connor, you have to applaud the medical staff here for having the stones to stand up and say to Klopp, this might not be the one.
It really is ballsy move on their half, isn't it?
I've seen other doctors and other club doctors or past club doctors come out and applaud them and say that they deserve recognition for this because, as Paul rightly said there, if Fekir came in, we dropped 60 million on him or whatever, and he blows up in 6-9 months, we're up shit creek without a paddle.
Yes, like people forget that what was it, 60 million euro thereabouts. That's a lot of money to spend on a player, and you want to know what you're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. And Klopp likes to plan for the future, and he doesn't plan for the short term. He plans for the next 5 years. Alexander says Fekir first choice, Draxler second choice. And Connor, where do you sit on Julian Draxler?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Draxler. I do love him. I would love to see him at Liverpool, but does he play much for PSG? I don't really watch them too much.
He does come in and out, but he never seems to hit the ground running. And James, I do see your comment there, mate. I'll come back to it in 1 second. Yeah, he doesn't seem to ever get a good run of games together, but there is no denying the quality of him as a player, and I think he'd come on a lot under Jurgen Klopp if he did come to the club.
Yeah, no doubt. That German connection again. Yeah, I would take him if we get him for right money. I'm sure he's on a big wage in Paris, so we'd have to match that as well.
And they have to, I think, is it 40 million or 60 million euro or something? They have to move on before the end of June to meet FFP.
I think 60. Yeah.
James, I said I'd come back to him there in a second. He said, "What do you think of the conflicting news that's coming out of the Echo?" He thinks it's a little bit confusing at times.
I don't think anyone knows what's going on, to be honest.
I think it's true.
Pretty
And
much
I
it.
think James Pearce has been very quiet lately, and I'm not just talking about the Fekir stuff. I mean, you go right back to Fabinho as well. He seems to be a lot quieter this window.
Yeah, someone said he's on holidays actually, so maybe that's
That's
the
probably a
thing.
good point, to be fair. I mean, if he's on holidays, the man deserves a break, but I can't imagine that he'd be planning holidays around transfer window and World Cup time.
Yeah, maybe that was just someone taking the piss. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, he's been absolutely silent.
Ant says reports in Spain saying that Madrid have agreed a fee for Alisson. If that's the case, it wouldn't be too surprising. They seem to have been linked strongly to him. I always just had the worry, Connor, about, well, not a worry, I suppose it was more of a positive for us. On Madrid's behalf, I had a worry that they were going to try to get Neymar, and all their money and all their finances and all their effort was going to go into trying getting Neymar across the line this summer. So if they're after going and agreeing a fee for Alisson this early, that's a big statement of intent from Real Madrid.
Yeah, trying to finally replace Navas. They were looking for that kind of Galactico keeper, weren't they? And maybe they have it Nelson. Maybe that's only a rumour, I don't know. But
Lewis
yeah,
says, would you take Alice or Malcolm, excuse me, for £44 million, the Bordeaux winger?
Malcolm, is it?
Yeah, Malcolm. Sorry, yeah, Malcolm. £44 million. I think Lewis thinks he's quoted the price being.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much of him, to be honest. I don't watch much French football. I'm ignorant cunt who only watches Premier League football most of the time.
I do watch a little bit of French football, but not Bordeaux. If I'm a bit of a glory hunter, if I'm watching French football.
I watched the odd bit outside of England, but not very much. From what I have seen of him, he looks a decent player, but I wouldn't be anyway qualified to say whether he was worth 44 million or not.
I think what all of us would say, Louis, is and probably kind of the same, is whoever Klopp brings in, and I know you guys are most likely the same, we'll back them to the hilt. We'll give them every opportunity and we'll get right behind them, mate.
That's it, just like trusting Klopp.
100%. Captain Witt says, thoughts on possible Raheem Sterling return. This is a really interesting conversation, and look, it plausibly is probably not going to happen. We have seen that him and his agent Connor looked at the deal that Kevin De Bruyne signed recently, and I told you guys on the pod that Kevin De Bruyne is earning with bonuses £350,000 a week, and Raheem Sterling is per Raheem's on a paltry £175,000 a week at the minute. I mean, I don't know how he's even paying the electricity bill, but look, we'll push on. Him and his agent are renegotiating his contract, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's got 2 years left to go. It's the right time to be doing that, but his team seem to believe that he deserves to be on a par. He scored 25 or whatever it was goals in the Premier League last season, Connor, and his representatives believe he deserves to be up there and paid similarly to the Kevin De Bruynes of this world.
Yeah, whether he is or not, I don't know, but like that's absolutely crazy money. And it brings us back to something we were talking about back in January, I think, with Goretzka. Everyone was wanting him to come in on crazy wages, and we were saying how it's not a good idea because then like Mane and Salah will be coming in looking for the same. Maybe a similar kind of situation will happen at City now. All their top players will be looking for £300,000 or £400,000 a week. So
on another, would you take him back though? If this was a deal that could be done and the club did it, would you be happy to see Raheem Sterling return? I know this is really up in the air, like, but
it's a tough one because, like, in terms of footballing ability, yes, but since it's him, no, I don't think the fans would take him back. I wouldn't, you know.
Feder39 says Paul Joyce is on holiday in Singapore. Nice spot for a holiday as well. Louis says, are you surprised that the club haven't said anything in regards to the Nabil Fekir deal? And for me, Connor, I'm not at all. I mean, if the club have something to say, they'll come out and say it, but he isn't their player, so they do have to be very careful in what they might say.
Yeah, but you say that, but then with the Van Dijk situation, the second 18 came out, they were all out apologising.
That's true as well, but maybe Leon aren't as upset, perhaps, as Southampton were at the time, because we do know that when Liverpool met with Klopp met with Virgil van Dijk around that time, we weren't the only club to have met Virgil van Dijk. I know of 2 other clubs who met Virgil van Dijk at the same time, so for us to have the finger pointed at us, and I think it was just a little bit of sour grapes by Southampton at that point.
Yeah, you're probably right. The fact that they haven't said anything makes me wonder, are we going back in for him though? It is a really interesting
Interesting. Yeah,
situation.
it is. I think it's one that will go on until we either sign a replacement or the window drags right out to the end. What else have we got? Let me look for the chat here. Paul Curzon says, "Would you like Zaha as cover for the wing?" And you know what, Paul, I would happily have Wilfred Zaha at Liverpool. I think he's a quality footballer, and I think he'd work very well for Klopp as well, Connor.
Yeah, he's a brilliant player. Probably wasted at Crystal Palace, isn't he?
He is, and the
Um,
money they're looking from as well, I believe,
he
would
almost
be
60 or 70 million pounds, isn't it?
be a lot of money. But from
I
a
wouldn't pay
purely
that much for him.
talent point of view, Paul, I think both myself and Connor seem to be in agreement that we'd happily have him at Liverpool Football Club. What about you, Paul? Let me know in the comments. Would you take him at Liverpool? The Abigor says means that Hay will be staying at United. I think this is in regards to Alisson going to Real Madrid. Nightmare. It is tough as well. Jesus, they do have one hell of a goalkeeper, don't they? David De Gea at Manchester United.
Really do.
Jan-
There's nothing left to say about her. He's just best keeper in the world.
Yeah, it is. It is tough, and you know what? You got to give credit where it's due, and it's Man United now, but he's an amazing goalkeeper. James Bauer said PSG need to raise 60 million in the next month for FFP. Guedes needs to be sold. Would you take him? And I have to say, Connor, he's not a player I know very much about, so I'm going to pawn this one over to you, buddy.
I was planning on doing the same to you, to be honest. I haven't seen him play, to be honest, but from what I have heard, he again seems to be a decent player. Haven't heard anyone say he's like the next Ronaldo or anything that way, but yeah, maybe he's worth a shout. I don't know. If anyone's actually seen him play, then maybe comment, tell us how he is. Is he any good?
Yeah, exactly as Connor said. Please let us know because we're a little bit ignorant on this topic. Maverick says, "What are your thoughts on Atletico Madrid getting Lamar for £53 million, but Liverpool and Arsenal being quoted around the 90 million quid mark at one point?" Connor by Monaco, and is it the January window I'm thinking of? Yeah, I think it was the January window.
Somewhere in January, I think. Um, I'd say that's because one, English clubs have way more money than Spanish clubs as a general rule, and two, Lamar had come off the back of a very good season last summer, and he was very average this season. So why shouldn't his price drop?
Yeah, I
There's
agree
a lot
with
to
what
drop
you're
though.
saying. Liverpool, or not Liverpool, English clubs in general do have to pay a premium. Ant wants to know the fixtures are out tomorrow. Who do we want to get in the first? I think he means in the first game of the season. Was it you, Connor, who told me that none of the top six clubs can be drawn against each other in the first game of the season or the last game of the season?
Yeah, something like that. The first game, none of the top six being, well, like yeah, the top six teams in general can't be drawn against each other for the first round, which is crazy, I think.
Who would you like Liverpool to get in the opening day?
A game at home against Brighton, something like that.
That's a
Brighton or
pretty good
Huddersfield.
shout. To be fair, I wouldn't
Bright,
mind seeing Fulham come to Anfield in their first
yeah,
game back in the Premier League.
quite like that. Although I do like Fulham, so I wouldn't like to go out and beat him 10-0 and just destroy their whole season after the first game. Like,
Yeah, but that means we would because the window closes. I was gonna say we'd still have a chance then to convince Sessegnon to move. Connor says he'd like West Ham, Fulham, and Cardiff for the first three games of the season. That wouldn't be
yeah,
too bad. Yeah, I wouldn't say no to that.
take that.
Alexander says Zaha would be better backup than Shaqiri, but value for money than Shaqiri's a better deal for us, and that's a very good point, Alexander. Connor, the difference between maybe 12 million quid for Shaqiri and let's just be realistic and say 50 million quid for Zaha.
I'd be taking Shaqiri every day of the week.
Yeah,
Like,
it is a tough one, but Zaha is a better player. I don't think any of us are going to deny. Well, I think
yeah,
he's a better player
absolutely,
anyway.
absolutely, yeah. But yeah, like there's not like 40 or 50 million pounds worth of difference in between the two players. I don't think.
Harvey says, "How does Zaha fit in? He'll want first team football, and I wouldn't start him over the first three that are there." I suppose, Harvey, the way I'd look at that is it's a long season. At times, Klopp might want to look at the front three and rest one of them, of course. He might want to maybe drop one of them back to play a little bit deeper. I think it's been hinted at times that maybe Firmino and Mane can do that, Connor, but I would just say that it's a long season, and for us, we're one injury in that front three away from trouble.
Yeah, like if we had Zaha on the bench and then suddenly, God forbid, Mane gets his leg broken, say he's out for 6 months, then we are very short at the moment with players. We have someone like Ben Woodburn to bring in, who, although he is a great talent, he's not going to be brilliant straight away if he's dropped into that team for half season.
Luke says Guedes will go to Valencia after his loan. Great player, though slightly inconsistent. And thank you, Luke. Luke saves our ass a lot of the time, actually. So thank you, Luke. You were we really enjoy your comments, mate, and thank you for letting us know about that one. Jamal wants to know how much is Zaha worth. I suppose kind of we can answer this in two ways. We can answer it what we believe he is worth, and what we've explained kind of what Crystal Palace would be looking for him.
Yeah, well, if we had agreed a fee of 48 million for Fekir, then he's worth about 30 probably. But since he's from an English club, we'd probably be quoted about 60, 70. Would probably have to pay about 50, I'd say.
And you know, there is almost, I won't call it a tax, Connor, but there's a premium when you're buying for another Premier League club.
Yeah, that's it. They'll always up the price because they don't want to strengthen, well, not direct rivals, but like helping out other teams in the league. They're obviously going to charge more.
Jason Johnson says Timo Werner, that's the player that we need, so we can put Firmino in the number 10 position. I really like Timo Werner, Connor, I have to say. I don't know if we'll ever see Bobby pushed out of that central position, although he can play across the front three, so maybe Jason has a valid point there. But all links seem to be that Timo Werner may go to Bayern Munich at some point. But you got to ask, Connor, if it was a straight choice between selling Timo Werner to Liverpool and selling him to Bayern Munich, surely to God Leipzig would want to strengthen a rival.
Yeah, you think so anyway. But that prick Rangnick, is it?
Ralph Rangnick, yeah. God, he was a nightmare to deal with, wasn't he?
Yeah, he probably won't be too happy selling to us again. So after we took Keita, but yeah, I'd say he's off to Bayern. But yeah, I would like to see him play for us.
It seems as if it's to be believed that he's a player that certainly impressed Jurgen Klopp. He's still very raw. I'll say that about him. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on at the World Cup, Connor.
Yeah, exactly. Like Germany don't have too many brilliant strikers, so very, very good chance that he will start for Germany.
Paul Curzon says it's the curse of the TV rights. I think he's talking about in regards to the Premier League clubs being asked to pay more.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Getting stupid money from TV companies.
Ardit says Strakosha is absolutely brilliant, and thank you, mate. That seems to be something, Connor, that a lot of people that have watched him are saying. So it's good news if we are linked with him, then I suppose.
Yeah. The people in the comments seem to know their stuff, so
they really do. And once again, thank you guys for all your input. I mean, I know you guys tune in here perhaps to listen to what we have to say, but trust us, we are learning just as much from you guys and appreciate the comments and the input you guys give to these streams. So thank you once again. Owen says Kevin Trapp and Javier Pastore are available from PSG as well, Connor. Would you take either of those two?
Again, haven't seen an awful lot of them. I've heard Trapp is dodgy enough. So maybe not.
I'd say he's dodgy. Yeah, I think dodgy is a fair word to use for Kevin Trapp.
Pastore, decent player, probably would fit into our system. Like a lot of the other players have said, if we get him for the right money, then I don't see a problem. We should take him.
Louis 11 says, would you take Leon Bailey as an alternative to Nabil Fekir? Yes, God yes, yeah. Forever yes. Where do I sign, Louis? Where do I sign? Definitely. Have you seen how fast he is, Connor?
Oh, he's unreal. He makes Salah look like fucking Per Mertesacker at times.
Can you imagine, Louis? Can you imagine a defence? They just sit down on the ground and cry if you had Salah, Firmino, Leon Bailey, maybe Mane. I mean, just give up. I mean, yes, Louis. I think we're both 100% behind that one. We'd absolutely take Leon Bailey. Dave says regarding the centre back, Jerome Boateng is being linked away from Bayern. Thoughts? My thoughts on this, Dave, are that that's perfect. For the money, I think Connor was it 35 million quid or something like that they were talking about for Jerome Boateng. I know he's getting to the latter end of his career, but for me he'd be a perfect addition to come in and add depth and give a chance to us to bring through a youth player, or maybe to see Joe Gomez come through. I'd just be really interested to see what you think, Connor. Jerome Boateng, would you have him at Liverpool?
Yeah, I'd take him for the right money. For that £40 million being quoted, I wouldn't. But he would slot in nicely beside Van Dijk there, wouldn't he?
He would. And Dave, you're in Germany, mate. You watch a lot of German football. Do you think Boateng would be a good fit at Liverpool? Would he be a good stopgap for a couple of years to perhaps let Joe Gomez come through, or see what's going to happen with our developing players? Just going back down to the comments. Mike Hines wants to know, what's your views on Strakosha, the Lazio keeper? Personally, I've never heard of him. I'm not going to lie, Mike, I have seen him. We touched on this a little bit earlier on. I've seen him a couple of times, not enough to give a balanced view of him. But Connor, will you repeat what you were saying a little bit earlier on about somebody who knows a little bit more about Italian football than us and what their view was on Strakosha?
Yeah, Maxi Angelo on Twitter, big Liverpool fan. I think he's Italian. He follows a lot of Italian football now, and he seems to be excited about the links. So I'm just going to trust him and hope that he's good if we do get him.
Maverick says, who would you want in goal for the first game of the season, excluding Oblak or Allison? That's a very tough question, isn't it, Connor? It's a really tough question.
Bogdan for me, I'd say.
Yeah, Bogdan for Pope, definitely. You know what, Maverick? I'm gonna take a minute to have a think about that, if that's okay. And I'll kind of let it tick along in the back of my mind and get back to you in a minute or two, because I think it's a tough question and one we may well have to answer as a club. So let me get back to you if that's okay, mate. Just gone through the comments. Craig, did you see that the Bayern chairman allegedly said he would allow Rodriguez to leave if it was a good price? James Rodriguez, Connor?
Is he Bayern's player to sell?
That's what I'm wondering. Did they had a 2-year loan deal with Real Madrid, didn't they? Did they then purchase him at the end of that, or is he talking about the loan deal is up and maybe Madrid are willing to sell him now?
That loan is no for until next season, I thought. If I'm wrong, then quote me on it. Don't quote me on this. I could be wrong. I'm saying. But,
yeah, I thought he was still on loan there, and perhaps there was another year there.
If he is there to sell and it's the right money, then yeah, I'd like him as a player. Don't see why not. Should go for him.
Yeah, I think he seems like a player that might have a point to prove and that has a little bit of fire still left in his belly. And look, there's no doubt in his quality. So I'd happily take him as well if the money was right. Harvey says, what about Ruben Loftus-Cheek as an alternative to Fekir? Just an idea.
Yeah, not a bad show.
Good player, had a very good season.
Yeah, he's a very strong player going forward. Could probably play a bit further back as well. Yeah, don't see why not. Again, right money. If Klopp wants him, then I want him. That's pretty much my opinion.
He's certainly very highly thought of by the players in the league, and the English players especially.
Yeah, he seems to be. Obviously, he's in the England squad, isn't he?
I think he made the England squad. You know what? I haven't paid, outside of the Liverpool players, Connor, I haven't really paid much attention to that.
I'm fairly sure he was, because I was surprised he was included above Lallana.
Dave's probably an expert in that England squad now that he's got to win the sweepstakes. So, Dave, maybe you can let us know on that one, buddy. Right, looking back to the comments, what else have we got? I see an interesting one here. James Bauer says, do you think Thomas Tuchel coming in to PSG affects Draxler in all likelihood? What do you think, Connor?
Never thought about that. Yeah, they're both German. Could be holding on to him to try to work with him. Yeah, well, don't really know what to say on that, to be honest. It's interesting though. For
me, Draxler going to PSG in the first place was alarm bells start ringing in my head, because being me being a bit petty, I just think he's gone for the money. Because although PSG, yes, they're going to win the French League, the French Cup, and they may have a decent run at it in the Europa, or not the Europa League, the European Cup. I just feel it's a cop-out going to them. I really do. And I think Neymar realised that, Connor, in the one season he's been there, that maybe it isn't what he was expecting. And going to places like Gangon isn't really too appealing.
Yeah, does winning the French League really count if you do it with PSG? Is it even an achievement, or is it just something that happens?
I genuinely feel as well that they are seriously going to struggle to ever go and win the Champions League, purely because of the lack of competition that they face week in, week out.
That's it. They play probably 4 or 5 competitive games all season. You can never have a good run. Then it's just beating teams 5 and 6-0 every week. What's the point?
Captain Wilt says, what do you think about Solanke? What do you think he'll contribute to the team next season? I'll let you go on that one, Connor.
Solanke, very interesting, because he obviously did get his first goal at the last game of last season. But if we do bring back Origi or sign another striker, then I could see him being sent out on loan. I can't see him playing a major part in squads.
I'm going to go back now and actually answer Maverick's question from earlier on about the goalkeeper, because I have had a few moments to think about this one, and I'm probably going to shock you, Connor, and certainly anybody who's listened to me on podcasts. I may shock you as well. We're ruling out Oblak and Allison, and I've said that this goalkeeper I'm going to mention has lots of mistakes in him, and we're going to have to bear with him for a while, and that he will probably turn out to be a world-class keeper. But Connor, I'm going to say Gianluigi Donnarumma for me. If I had to pick somebody else right now, I'd be almost willing to gamble a poor season or a poor 9 months for the future ahead.
Yeah, he's ridiculously young, isn't he? He's 18, 19. He's obviously going to have a few errors in him, but yeah, he really does look a brilliant keeper in the making. So yeah, like you said, even if we did have to risk him for 6 months, 9 months, even a year or two, then yeah, probably worth a shout.
I think though, if we did somehow end up with Gianluigi Donnarumma as a keeper, we'd really, fans would really have to understand that he's going to be learning on the job as well, and we're not going to get the finished product. But if you look at De Gea as an example, Connor, he took a full season to settle in at Manchester United, and he was almost laughable at times in his first season. But everybody knew, like anybody knowledgeable on the game that really knew anything about him, knew that there was a really good goalkeeper in there.
Yeah, that's it. Like in his first season, he looked no better than Mignolet has over the last few years. Possibly made Mignolet look good for a while, but yeah, everyone knew he was going to turn out good eventually, and I imagine it's the same with Donnarumma.
Our English expert Dave Henry said that Loftus-Cheek is in the squad. Does that make you feel more confident about this sweepstakes, Dave? I'm sorry we're taking the piss here, buddy, but that was just the one team none of us wanted in the first eight. And you know what? Outside of Spain, I didn't really get a great draw myself. I think Tom came out on top in this one, if I'm being honest, Connor.
Yeah, who did he get? Brazil and
Uruguay. I think I might have got Saudi Arabia or somebody for the last team. I think he got a poor last team, but I think he got a pretty good draw. It was really well shared around, actually. I think, Connor. I think nobody got an amazing draw.
Yeah, there's no clear winner out of the draw. I don't think. I'd say either me, you, or Tom probably got the best group.
Neil Anthony says Strakosha is immense. His style of play suits us much better too. If he was from a big footballing nation, people would be going mad about him. Let's get him. He's only 23 and a massive player. And these, Neil, these could be the exact type of gems that Jurgen Klopp can uncover, Connor. And, all these goalkeepers, as you said, Connor, rightly so. Alisson was, I won't say a nobody 12 months ago, but certainly an unknown goalkeeper.
Yeah, I had heard of him, but there was nothing being said about him the same way they do now. Everyone's saying he's a world-class keeper now after one season. Whether we can actually claim that he's world class after 1 year or not, I don't think so. But yeah, so
Ahmed says Donnarumma looks like Anfield legend material. I think Paul Kirsten saying he's amazing, and Ahmed says De Gea was too young too when he went to United, and that's I think what we were saying as well, Ahmed, mate, that sometimes you have to accept that. We spoke before, I'll use an example of us bringing in Lazar Markovic, Divock Origi, these type of players where we have perhaps, Connor, got them a couple of years too early in their career, and with these players we haven't given them a chance to develop. So if you were to get that young goalkeeper, you'd need to give him the time.
Yeah, that's it. Or just hold off. Maybe loan him out for a few years, or just hold off for another 2 or 3 years before signing him. But then he's going to be costing probably 4 times the price then.
People's heads would fall off. Imagine we went and signed Donnarumma now and sent him out on loan.
It would be crazy, wouldn't it?
Especially if I'd be one of those people whose head would fall off. So I'm not trying to slag anybody else. My head would fall off. I'd lose the plot as well. Y option 82 says he'd take Donnarumma any day. Paul Curzon reckons France or Brazil to win the World Cup. Well, Connor, you got France, didn't you, in the sweepstakes?
Yeah, I predicted Germany to win, but I got France, so maybe I'll be supporting France now.
And Paul, in our sweepstakes, Brazil was got by Tom. I got Spain, and I'm just trying to think of the other. I think Chris got Germany. Is that right? If I remember correctly, Chris got Germany. Dave Henry said, here's his group for everybody to see. And in all its glory, he got England, Denmark, Japan, and Nigeria. Yeah, so he says thanks, Craig.
All those absolute heavyweights like Japan and Nigeria.
Those heavyweights, yeah. Dave, my money's on you, Dave. I'm backing you to win this sweepstakes. Jono says, you do know we can sign a keeper and an attacking midfielder. Absolutely, mate. And I'm not disagreeing that we could or should get both. For me, just the goalkeeper is the priority. And you're right. He is right, Connor. We can well go and sign both.
Yeah, the money's there. It seems to be, so why not?
Jono, have you any preferences, mate? Let us know in the chat maybe who you'd like to see brought in. Are you hard set on Fekir, or do you have any goalkeeper's preference? We'd love to know. Ant says, could you see us going for Rabiot with PSG needing to sell? And that's a very interesting comment actually, Connor, because we know Rabiot was fond of Liverpool.
Yeah, there was some links with him, wasn't there? Is he a Liverpool fan or something?
Did you see his Instagram? I think it was an Instagram post. Liverpool, I think it was when we were playing Roma. He had a picture, I think, of the cop, and he just put up love hearts on the screen or something like that.
Yeah, wouldn't blame any player for being like that, though, to be fair.
I think he spoke before about his affection for Liverpool as well.
Yeah, if he wants to come and we want him, then yeah, could be a match made in heaven. Could be a brilliant player for us.
What I will say is, Ant, if he comes, he needs a fucking haircut. I don't like any long-haired hippies in my team. I like crew cuts and buzz cuts and no more man buns. Van Dijk can have a man bun, Connor, because Van Dijk can do what the hell he wants.
What about Salah's afro then?
Salah's afro is beautiful. That's completely different. That's an absolute thing of beauty from a beautiful man. I sound like Brendan Rodgers there, don't I? He's a beautiful human being. Brian says we have to sell one central midfielder before bringing in Rabiot. For me, if we're to talk about selling somebody and we go with what Brian says there, it's bye Adam Lallana for me, Connor.
Yeah, I don't want to see him leave personally because I think I'm a big fan of him, but he probably is most likely to be pushed out if there's one to be gone.
Alexander says we need to get Gelson Martins on a free before Arsenal get him, and Bruno Fernandes seems to be on his way to a team in Italy, but we need to get him also. Low risk, huge talented players. I've said this earlier on, Alexander, my fear for anybody coming from Sporting Lisbon at the minute is that it's not going to be a free transfer. There's going to be legal issues involved. And Connor, that's just my thoughts on it, and I could be completely wrong. Maybe Lisbon will cancel the contracts, but as I said earlier, it's an awful lot of money for a club to write off.
It is, isn't it? Like, you're probably talking at least £100 million there, or near enough, in worth of players cancelling contracts. And like you said, there probably will be a lot of legal implications and dirty work to be done to get them out of them contracts. So whether it's worth it or not, it's hard to know. You want to look into it more, I'd say.
Owen says, what about Edin Dzeko from Roma? A great plan B. And you know what, I've got to be honest, Owen, and say I really underrated Edin Dzeko before we played them in those two legs, Connor. I didn't realise, I just thought he was a big lump, but he knows where the goal is. He really does.
Yeah, I still don't think I'd want him really. Don't think he'd fit our system, but yeah, like you said, he's a better player than a lot of us probably would have thought.
I agree. I don't think he fit our system. I think if he had made that move to Chelsea instead of Giroud at the time, I think that would have been a great move for him and probably would have fit his style of play perfectly.
Yeah, that transfer kind of scared me when I heard of that. I thought he would have been absolutely brilliant in that team. He might go there still at some point, so better watch out.
Kevin Smith says Fekir should hand the transfer request. And Kevin, from my thought process on this, mate, is that I think it's Liverpool that might be pulling out of this deal, or the reason that this deal hasn't gone ahead. How about you, Connor?
Fekir deal, is it?
I think Kevin's talking about the Fekir deal. Yeah, he thinks Fekir should hand in a transfer request.
Well, like, if the problem's there and not wanting to sign him because of his medical history, then that's not going to do much good, is it?
Yeah, and it'll be an awful lot of money as well, I think, Kevin, for a player to give up. I mean, you're probably talking, is it 10 or 15% of a transfer fee usually a player gets as a lump sum? I could be completely wrong on that, though. Maverick says, who'll be the star of the World Cup? He reckons that Ousmane Dembele will shine, Connor.
Never really thought about this too much. Like, apart from the main players, might have to come back to me on that. I can't really think of any, like, smaller players who might do well.
I think he's a good shout with Dembele. I mean, he has a chance to go and have a World Cup, a good World Cup. Who's going to be the star of the World Cup? It's really hard to call this one, Maverick, mate, because we've seen some players, particularly from African countries, just come and be amazing in World Cups and come from nowhere.
Even look at James Rodriguez, the last one. Like, yes, he was a good player, but he really stepped up a level after that. That's
a great shout as well. He scored the goal he won the Puskás Award, didn't he, for that goal? He beat our own Stephanie Roach, I think, to the award that year.
I remember that.
Two amazing goals, by the way, I've got to say. Who will be the star of the World Cup? I'm just going through the teams now. I think Timo Werner could be in with a show if he finds the back of the net.
Who would your player of the tournament be, you think?
My player, I'm going to stick with Iniesta. I think I'm just being a bit sentimental here, but I think he might go out with a bang. And I'm probably hoping that as well now because I have Spain in the sweepstakes. But what about you, Connor? Who do you think might win the player of the tournament?
I'm thinking Toni Kroos. I think he just plays really well for Germany, and I think Germany will win the World Cup, so I think he'll be a big part of that. He's in with a shout, I think. If not,
I also wouldn't mind Messi, to be fair.
Yeah, if not, I'd say it's probably going to be whoever the top scorer is, like Neymar, Griezmann, whoever it's going to be.
Jono says he's sick and tired of hearing Liverpool fans saying, let's get Martial. Forget it, last time a player went directly from United to Liverpool or vice versa was Phil Chisnell in 1964. We completely agree, Jono. We also agree that he'd be a great player, but as we said, it would have to be him moving somewhere else and then him coming to Liverpool in the future. There's no way in our eyes and in yours, it seems, mate, that excuse me, that deal's going to happen. So we fully agree with you. Luke says, do you think the journalistic silence about goalkeepers is a good thing or a bad thing? I think silence is always a good thing, Connor.
Yeah, they tend to only come out with bad news, don't they? So if there's no news, I take it as good news.
Or be guessing a lot of the time as well, it seems.
That as well.
I don't really mean as much. I'm not aiming that at the established journalists. I'm just saying a lot of the ITKs and stuff just grasp at straws.
What do you think? Indy Kyla doesn't have real sources.
Of course he does. Indy Kyla is the man, the myth, the legend. The Indy Kyla, we're all aspiring to be him. A man who would hold down a full-time job in the food industry as well as be the go-to for transfer information. I mean, he's living the dream, Connor. He really is.
Hard working man, isn't he?
He's the hardest working man in show business. He really is. James Doherty says Robin Olsen, the latest keeper to be linked to us. That's a new name for me, Connor. How about you?
Never heard of him.
I'm going to allow you to talk for a minute, Connor, about a topic. Read a question because I need a drink of coke. My voice is going.
Yeah. Let's see, where were we? And FSG people saying they don't spend on a goalkeeper. I believe this is Klopp's choice not to spend 70 to 80 million on a goalkeeper. The money is there, but he knows that's stupid money for a keeper. Yeah, that's pretty much what we agreed on earlier. Klopp is stubborn with his players. If he doesn't feel that the player's worth that much, he'll find someone else. Doesn't like to spend over the odds for players. Martial will probably go to Spurs straight. Alderweireld, Martial swap. Yeah, it's a good shout.
It is a good shout, yeah.
That's a good shout.
That would suit both clubs as well, and I'd be very worried about Spurs on that side of it.
Yeah, I have seen Martial linked to Spurs the last few weeks, so he could be on something there.
And they certainly, you know what, I could almost see Spurs or United doing this with Spurs, and then United almost trying to make it go smoothly and pave the way for a move for Harry Kane in the future.
Yeah, build up relations with Daniel Levy. No way he's so good with transfers.
Oh, you know what? I can understand why Real Madrid have walked away a couple of times when they've thought about going back in for Pochettino or perhaps a couple of their players. I mean, you've seen Barcelona linked a lot recently with Christian Eriksen, Connor, and he'd be a great player for them, but excuse me, best of luck dealing with Daniel Levy.
Unless Eriksen just ties Levy up and forces his way out, it's probably not going to happen for anything less than like £150 million or something ridiculous.
Levi says, imagine how salty Man United fans would be if we signed Martial. Should they just tell you they didn't want him, mate? They tell you that Fred was a dream all along. They didn't want Fabinho, even though there's numerous welcome to United videos floating around.
Yeah, Mark Goldbridge as well.
Sandra. I know she changed her name, didn't she?
Did she?
Yeah, I think that she changed her Twitter account name, her secondary Twitter account name. Ben says people are saying the club are being too quiet about Fekir deal and so on. The club can't comment. It's a medical issue and would impact his career. Other teams not want to take a risk. It's a fair point, Connor.
Yeah, fair point again. Again, the people in the comments seem to know what they're talking about. A lot more than me and you.
There's a comment here from Paul Curzon that's non-transfer related, but FIFA is a free download for this month while the World Cup is on. Use it for scouting. Connor, are you a computer gamer? I certainly amn't.
To an extent, FIFA is pretty much the only game I do play, to be honest. Yeah, I wouldn't be going off FIFA stats or database opinions on players, but if you don't know a player, it is handy to look up a stat on that and see how FIFA or EA Sports, whoever picks the ratings, like how they compare to other players. But yeah, I wouldn't be taking that for gospel and how good a player is.
Luke says Brewster will definitely stay with the U team but train with the first team like Ben Woodburn. Brewster is an interesting subject actually, Connor, because we've seen obviously Borussia Mönchengladbach were trying to get him over, and Liverpool then went and cancelled a scheduled friendly against Mönchengladbach that was made for the summer. Liverpool really want to keep Ryan Brewster, and he's really highly thought of at the club. Yeah,
don't blame him. He seems to be a very good talent. Again, very young, probably too young to come into this team just yet. He's probably ambitious. That's probably why there's problems. Maybe he wants to leave to get some game time.
Just looking through the comments here. What else have we got? While I'm taking the time to read through these comments, guys, you may have heard us saying it before. If you guys haven't yet done so, please hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to us and it helps us grow the channel. I seen something there earlier on that was oh, there it is. Brian says Neymar will score 7 or 8 goals and Brazil will win the World Cup. A very well balanced side, quality in all areas. They just need to go and peak at the right time. What do you think of that, Connor?
Yeah, like you said, if Neymar can score that many goals, they have a very good chance.
Scenes when
Just
Bobby Firmino
if
goes on and bangs in a bicycle kick to win it for them.
I would love to see that. I think they might bottle it. Who knows?
I'd love to
I
see
don't
him go
know.
on and push Neymar out of the way for a bicycle kick. I'm almost doing the motion here, bicycle kick into the top corner. Oh. You know what?
That
I
would be
think
beautiful.
I think Firmino might establish himself ahead of Jesus as this tournament goes on.
I hope so because he offers so much more, doesn't he?
He
Like
really does.
Jesus.
I mean, we're not slagging off Jesus because
No, he's a brilliant
he's a
player.
really good footballer. Right, what else have we got here? Reading through the comments. Paul says, would you have Alderweireld from Spurs? I think he'd be quality next to VVD. I'm almost afraid to answer this question in case he goes to United, Connor. But I'll whisper it. Yes, I would.
I'd have to agree. Yeah, probably would. For the right price.
Louis 11 says Son is world class and he's a very talented footballer, Connor. Heung-min Son, and he works really hard for that Spurs team.
Yeah, another great player. Wouldn't say no to him.
He's a player that we were linked with for a long time, actually, rather loosely, but it was a good buy by Spurs. I mean, it was a really good piece of business again by Daniel Levy.
Yeah, they're gone pretty cheap, didn't they?
I can't remember. I'd be lying, but it's Spurs, so they certainly didn't pay a ridiculous fee for him.
I think it was like 15 or 20 million at the time. I could be wrong on that, but I think it was something like that.
Just touching on earlier on, Alexander says Robin Olsen, the latest goalkeeper that is linked to us, is Sweden's first goalkeeper at the World Cup, but he's shit. So, judging
Who
by
did he play
his,
for him?
judging by I don't know, judging by Alexander's surname, he seems to maybe be Scandinavian or European, so he may know a lot more about Olsen than we do. So, I'll watch him through the World Cup, Alexander, and thank you for that information, mate. But if he's shit,
Robin
Robin
Olsen, is
Olsen, that's the one, yeah.
he plays for Copenhagen.
Oh, right. So not really at the highest level. So it probably would be a bit of a risk. And I think again, fans' heads might fall off if we don't see somebody who perhaps we all know a little bit more. Ardit says, I think we have to go for Strakosha. He's a fantastic player and young, and we'll regret him if we don't sign him now. And Connor, again, a lot of people have positive things to say about this guy.
Yeah, I'm just going to trust what he says. Like I said, I've never seen him play.
But yeah, we haven't seen him, and I've seen him a couple of times, but not enough to really pay attention to him. I've been watching Lazio to look at Lucas Leiva and see how he's getting on. So really interesting to see. Chiesa, here's someone who's actually in our transfer podcast agenda tomorrow. Brian Kingston says Chiesa is a very exciting player, although he plays as a wide forward. You can see him playing the Firmino role. Anything on that one, Connor?
Again, like I said, I'm ignorant. I don't watch much football outside of English football, so I've heard of him, but again, haven't seen much of him. So I'm going to leave that to you.
Yeah, he's a player that I think Christian mentioned before on a previous podcast as an exciting player. I'm trying to remember. No, he's not the guy that's linked. There's another guy, Torella, I think, who's been linked to Arsenal from
That looks a done deal
Sampdoria,
too.
I think. Yeah, that looks a done deal. Again, I'm just looking through our agenda here for tomorrow. I'm actually
That
wrong.
was
He's not
Torreira,
on
I
the
think.
agenda.
So.
Yes, that's the guy. Well done. That's him.
I think Borrella is the other fella you were talking about earlier to me. I had it in the
Okay.
agenda, I think.
Lubac says he's saying to Paul Curtin that Alderweireld is getting old, and he is, but he probably is maybe peak age for a centre back at this point. Connor, what is he, 30 years of age, or maybe is he 32?
Yeah, something like that. Let's look up. He's 29.
He's 29. Wow, I was wrong. I'm awful at this game, by the way, guessing people's ages. I'm always getting this stuff wrong.
It is tricky, to be fair.
Owen Fay says, any word on a goalkeeper? Sillerson from Barcelona, I heard he wants out. He also costs very little. They still owe us the Coutinho money. The links tonight, as we said earlier on, Owen, you may not have caught it on at the start of the stream. It's looking, well, it's not looking like, but a new link that's come out has been for Strakosha, the keeper from Lazio, and myself and Connor have been honest in that we haven't seen a whole lot of him, but people that have seen him a lot more than we have say he's a very talented goalkeeper, and 22, 23 years of age. I just want to check my notes. 23 years of age, so a very young keeper as well. So that's the latest we have really on Strakosha. Maybe you have a little Google of him, look at a few YouTube videos, and let us know what you think, because he's certainly somebody that's been in the links today. Brian says it beats him why Jesus is ahead. With Neymar and Coutinho in the wide areas, Firmino can create so much space for both of them. Jesus is a more talented goal scorer, but Firmino brings something extra, and I think we both agree with that, Connor.
Yeah, spot on again. Just offers a lot more as forward than Jesus does. Like you said, even open up space for the wide players. It's a very good asset going forward that way.
Paul Curzon says the Butler links have come around again today. Redmen TV did an interesting stats comparison video. I think we still need a better class of keeper myself, and I would be of the same mindset as Paul in regards to saying no to Jack Butland.
Yeah, spot on again. Don't want him.
I'm not really one, I have to say, guys, I'm not really a person that falls into the category of believing in stats that much. As somebody who, and I don't mean to say I'm snobbish here, but as somebody who has played football a lot and watched it for many, many, many years, I tend to trust my eyes, Connor, when I'm looking at things, and sometimes we do have a prejudice against the player, so maybe stats can come in handy in that sense, but it's just a no for me on Jack Butland.
Yeah, stats can make a player look good, but then you actually see what they're actually doing on the pitch. It doesn't seem as good as their stats. It's a good indication of a player, but it doesn't tell the whole story.
Lubac77 says Torreira is a beast and he's the new Mascherano. That's the guy that's gone to Arsenal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh shit. In that case, then.
Sort of.
In that case, that's bad news. What's his name? Theraptorx XX says that he agrees with Paul, that he wasn't convinced. Louis, do you think?
The Raptor.
Pardon?
The Raptor, I think, is it?
Oh yeah,
Raptor
sorry,
XX.
the Raptor. Sorry, the Theraptor 6. See, there you go, the Raptor. There you go. See, that's why Connor's here to help me stop looking like an idiot. Louis 11 says, do you think it's kind of weird that some of the most reliable journalists haven't come out and said anything about the Nabil Fekir deal? I don't think it's weird. I think it's more respectful, and they don't want to prejudice any possible deal or any future deal for Nabil Fekir with any other club, Connor.
Yeah, I think it's just try not to say anything like it's dead. If it's not dead, then not try to say it will open again. If it doesn't, it's covering their own arses, I think.
Robert Hanner says he's got to go. A great listen, keep up the great work. Thank you, Robert. Have a lovely evening, mate, or a nice night. I'm not sure whereabouts you are in the world, and we do thank you once again for tuning in and contributing. It means a lot to us. The Raptor X, see the way I got it right that time, Connor. He said it was a real good stat show, though. I gotta say, he went into a sort of anti-stat way and made a lot of sense. You know what, they're good at what they do there, so why wasn't in any way trying to undermine what they're doing the Red Man TV, because as you know as well, Connor, they're good at what they do, but I'm just not a person that believes in stats too much, and it's not a dig at anybody else, it's just a personal view.
Yeah, especially with keepers, because they could have the best stats in the world and still make one mistake, lets in a goal. Like, it doesn't tell the whole story.
Luke says, who do you find unreliable to follow for transfer news? This is a question that I have to be careful answering, Connor, because you know I have strong views on this. Who do I find unreliable?
Everyone bar the three main journals, pretty much.
A lot of people, Luke, is the answer to that, mate. I kind of tend to try and stick to... You know, I like Graham Kelly, and he's not always
Graham Kelly
right.
to an extent.
He's not always right, but nobody ever is. But I think everything that Graham says seems to have a tinge of truth to it, or be based in reality at least. Obviously Melissa Reddy, James Pearce, Paul Joyce, they're all people that we would look to for transfer information.
Give us some names and we'll tell you if they're good or not.
Yeah, maybe you let us know, Luke. Fire some names at us and we'll try and give our opinion, mate. Who do you think is unreliable for transfer news? Who do you think is the worst ITK perhaps out there?
I can think of a few. I probably shouldn't name names.
Yeah, I'm not going to name names either. It's not really fair for us to do that, although I would love to. I have to say, I'd love to come on here and just say he, she. But the headache it would bring our way just wouldn't be worth it, because, you know, we'd end up in a Twitter storm. Louis said, if we can't find an Nabil Fekir alternative in the transfer window, do you think it would be better to buy a striker and put Firmino back at centre attacking midfield? You know, it's an interesting point Louis makes there, because I touched on it earlier on. I think that maybe the club might look, Connor, to, if we can't get Fekir, that's a no-go, the club might revisit the transfer window completely and say to themselves, kind of along the lines that Louis said there, well, maybe we don't need that attacking midfielder. Maybe somebody else can cover that position, and maybe a forward is where we go and spend the money.
Yeah, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Maybe we get someone better for the team. Like I said, it could be a completely different position. Maybe we do spend that money on a keeper or another forward, like you said. So it'll be interesting to see what we do after World Cup, because I don't imagine much will be done during the World Cup.
Luke says Torreira could turn out to be another Granit Xhaka, hopefully, and yes, mate, hopefully he does. Although if he's signed for Liverpool, obviously we want him to do great, but yeah, hopefully he does, because Granit Xhaka has not been great at all. I mean, he scored a few goals outside the box, but he certainly had his fair share of yellows and reds as well, Connor.
Yeah, he's an aggressive player, isn't he?
Neil Anthony reckons that Dembele will find the Premier League very easy and 20 plus goals. Imagine Dembele and our front three interchanging, just unplayable. They could score 100 goals between them. I fully agree that Dembele would be an absolute beast in our front three, Connor.
Yeah, that would be absolutely unreal to watch. Not unreal now, but imagine just adding Dembele into that too.
Yeah, and just imagine what Klopp could do with him. I mean, in regards to really focusing him, because he's quite raw and a little bit of a headless chicken at times. That's a bit harsh for me to say, but what I'm trying to say is there's so much more in there to get out of him.
Yeah, sure. Even see with Salah at the start of the season, how many chances he missed, and like how much more clinical he is now. That's just one season.
Paul asked what people reckon to the new away shirt that came out today. He loves it. It's I'm usually, Paul, somebody who loves a mad colour and a mad shirt, but I just can't get into this one, buddy, and I'm gonna wait to give my real judgment on it when I see it in a shop. So it's hard to look at it sometimes in an image, because I found with the home shirt I thought it was okay when I looked at it online, but when I got it in my hands, Connor, I looked at the home shirt and I just thought it was so much nicer, and especially when I put it on and tried it on, my opinion of it went up a lot. So maybe it's the same. What do you think of the new away shirt, Connor?
I think I like it. I'm not fully sure though. Like you, I'd like to see it in person and maybe try it on for a full judgment on it. But yeah, I think it'd look nice on the pitch.
The Abigor says, I've watched quite a lot of Keita last season and he can take on 2 or 3 players no problem. Maybe he can play the 10 role with Fabinho and Hendo holding, and I think that's a valid point that he makes there. We know Keita can break the line, and we know Keita can pick a pass, and we certainly know that Naby Keita knows where the goal is, Connor. So I think he can play anywhere in the midfield three.
Yeah, I think he's kind of a box-to-box, more so than an attacking or defending mid. But yeah, he probably could fill in either side.
I certainly think that he has the quality and the potential to do anything he wants in that midfield, and I cannot wait to see him. He's the player who I've been most excited about a signing, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing him pulling on the Liverpool shirt.
Yeah, he's nearly been forgotten about the last few weeks with Fekir coming in.
What a bonus though, like, what a player to have coming in.
That's why I said, like, everyone giving out about Fekir, but such a shame, all we have is Keita and Fabinho coming in.
Darren
Terrible.
Calvin loves the new away kit, smiley face. There are a lot of people that like it, Connor. It's a real Marmite kit, and we've had a few of them over the last few years.
Yeah, they tend to come out with some strange kits, New Balance, don't they? I do like that, because I hate the Nike kits where they always just look the same.
Yeah, I hate
Adidas
that as well. Yeah, I agree. Lubac says the away shirt makes him think of Ribena. It makes me think of, I don't know where you guys are watching this in the world, but over here in Ireland and the UK, we have a tin of Cadbury sweets called Roses, and there's one particular sweet in it. It's I think it's a hazelnut or a whole nut sweet, and it's got a purple and orange wrapper, and that's what it reminds me of. Anything pop into your mind when you see it, Connor?
Quality Street tin, what I said earlier. Or a wheelie bin.
A wheelie bin, I think, yeah. I'm not touching that one, by the way. The wheelie bin one, I'm not touching it. Killer for Hire reckons that Keita will be our player of the season, the coming season. He's an absolute monster, and I don't know about player of the season, because in my head Mo Salah's going to score 60 this season, although he won't, Connor, but anybody could be our player of the year next year, because we have such a great bunch of lads there at the club.
Yeah, he's as good a shout as any.
The Raptor says, yes, the shiny wrapper. That's the one. And do you know what? Funnily enough, mate, that's my favourite one in the box as well. And it's the one that I always try and get my hand in and get out of the box before any of the other animals in my house get at the box, because you know when you've got two young kids in here, you know, kids in chocolate yourself doesn't last very long. So I like to hide the nice sweets and pull them out and put them in my pocket. That's how I roll. Not gonna lie. I like to get a couple of nice sweets out of the tins, Connor. The tins, by the way, don't even get me started on shrinkflation. But these damn tins as well are getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Everything getting smaller except the price.
Luke says he's got to go. Good night to both of us. The same to you, mate. Thanks for coming on again, Luke.
Thanks, Luke.
I think we'll just do a couple more before we finish up, if that's okay,
Yeah.
guys. It's been quite a long night. I've been on stream since 7:30, so it's been a long night. Lubac Twirl chocolate, it reminds him of. It's another good show. Another nice bit of chocolate as well. You guys have me starving here, talking all this chocolate. And look at me, I'm a lad who doesn't need to be eating any more chocolate.
Making me hungry too.
What have we got here? Owen says, what do you lads think will happen to the legend Stevie G up in Scotland? What Rangers do you think they'll give Celtic a run this year? My honest answer is I don't know. I really just don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, I wish him well, like most people, but it's a big ask to rein in that Celtic lead, Connor, and the power that they have in that Scottish league.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for him. But a lot of people said it was a bad move. I think it was a genius move, really, because one, if he does end up winning the league with them, he makes himself look like a genius. And if he doesn't, then it's it's Rangers. They weren't going to ever catch Celtic anyway. So it's kind of a win-win for him. You can't really lose.
It really is. A couple of people saying good night. Killer for Hire says good night, thanks for the stream again. And Maverick says needs to jump off, thanks for the stream. It's probably a good time, Connor, for us to say good night as well. If you're watching this on a replay and you've stayed with us this long, thank you very much. Do hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, let other people know about us. Give us some comments in the chat, things you'd like us to talk about, things we can improve on if that's the case. We're always willing to learn and we're always willing to interact with you guys. Until tomorrow, we're going to say good night and thank you all very much. Have you wanted to add, Connor, before we go?
No, it's pretty much the same. Thanks to everyone tuned in, leaving the comments. Make sure to subscribe, like Craig said. Really does help us out. And make sure to jump back on next time we're in live.
So, from all of us here at Anfield Agenda, to you guys, thank you very much. And we will talk to you soon. Enjoy your night wherever you are.